let's unbox this thought. Do you feel secure at your job? You know, so with this being like me just releasing my thoughts, I definitely I lost my job during 2025, and it really hit me it kind of hit me in a place. It's like, how can you start anything in your life without having that financial bed, that you can lay on, in a sense. You're always expecting the paycheck to come in. The bills are going to get paid. You're not going to be thrown out on your ass and be homeless, right? But how can you feel secure in your job when it's just a normality that people can get fired so easily? And from what I've been told, I wasn't around during this time, or I was too young to experience it. Back then, being fired was in movies, it was seen as a big thing. When you were fired, it was huge, And I think about that today. It's just hey, you're a number, you're a asset on a piece of paper, or not much of an asset, and they want to get rid of you, and you got to think about that aspect where your life can literally just be pulled out from under you at any point, at any time. You have no control of it. You could do everything right in your job and get screwed over immediately. And you think about this. How can you start anything on that? So let's say you want to buy a house. Those mortgage payments aren't going to stop. They're not going to, those mortgage payments aren't going to pay themselves. They got to get paid, or the bank will come for you. You have a kid. You got to pay for their medical bills. You got to take care of the kid. You got to buy them food. You got to do things. And it revolves around money. Unless you want to go back to the caveman days, you have to find a way to make money, in a sense. But it's just and usually you would want to have that certain rhythm, that certain thing that you're okay, I know the money or the resources are going to come from here, because you buy the resources, hunter-gatherer, we buy the resources with the money we get from our job to support our lives, and that's the way we do stuff. We don't hunt food anymore. We go out and buy food. We have to use money to do it, because we want to live a more modern lifestyle. But how can you live a modern lifestyle if your job is always in threat? You're always under threat of losing your job. How can you feel secure in the fact that hey, that income, that sense of I'm doing something to support my family or support myself, can be just taken away at any freaking point? And it's pushed me to do a lot of things more entrepreneurial. And I find this funny. I find it's fun. You spend your whole entire life in school working to get a job, working to just get a job, but you don't learn that much about starting businesses, and starting businesses literally means breaking the rules, creating something of value on your own. And it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me on a business standpoint. But the school thing, it seems like we were set up for a trap. Whether it was grade school or college, we were told that this is the job, that you're going to have the job, you're going to get the job, and then the job lets you go. Or the job doesn't even frickin' pay you enough. I had a job offer, I wouldn't say offer, but I was reading it. It was $80,000 in New York. And I'm like, how are you going to live on $80,000 in New York? Are you kidding me? And then let's just say they up the pay so you could just barely make it in New York, right? You move all your stuff out there. You go to New York, you go to the big city, and then you get fired, or your job gets rescinded as soon as you get there. Because I've heard of stories like that happening. It's just what? Seriously? I honestly think if a company does that, they should pay you for the entire freaking year. They should just pay you the entire year, because they made so much of a screw up. If someone moved to a state and they rescind that offer, they gave you the offer, you applied for the offer, they gave you the job, then you get there and they say, hey, the job's not here for you anymore. Sorry, buddy. You should pay that person the entire freaking year, because you just screwed up their life. But companies can get away with that. Companies can get away with that. They can do that kind of terrible trash and just get away with it. So it's funny. It's funny. And that's going off my other video. It's just like figuring it out and going about it. It's just like the obvious solution to it is start your own business or start your own thing and create your own stuff. Like I'm creating here. I'm creating content. I'm not expecting for it to generate income. It could probably get me 1 or 2 views. Who the hell knows? But this is more of just trying to talk about that aspect. It's just like it's so freaking ridiculous, you know. It almost makes you think, man, you know what? Screw it. I might as well just go out in the wilderness and hunt my own food, become a log caverner and just cut down a couple of trees, build my own house, and just live off the land instead of having to deal with the absolute stupidity that we have to deal with in society. And it is absolutely stupid. We can just, I guess that's why Europe, when you get fired getting fired in Europe is a big thing. You have to go through apparently a lot of laws and you have to make a lot of reasonings why this person is getting let go, you know? So yeah, it's a lot to think about. I'm dealing with it now. I'm going through it and figuring it out. You know, it happened a while back, but figuring out life going forward it's interesting. It's like, you know, you're trying to build your own path, but geez, I know there's people out there who don't have that entrepreneurial spirit, who could not basically get in front of a camera and start building something or start trying to do their own type of a business or build something. There's people who are not like that. They need a system to work for them. They need something where a system tells them to do certain things and they will be rewarded for those things. And the system that we have right now, if you follow it to a T and you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to get, a lot of you are just going to, you're going to get screwed. It's simply put, a lot of you are just going to get screwed if you follow the rules, right? So I guess that's a good point to end off on this video. You're not going to make it just following the rules or what the jobs are supposed to do, especially right now in 2025, right, where jobs can just be flippant with you. They could just, you're fired, you're let go because we want to increase profits, you know. Screw it, you know. Why not just shoot for the stars and just figure out things for yourself? But yeah, I want to open it up to you guys on that one. Open it up on what's your thoughts on it? How are you dealing with that? How are you even, if you have a job right now, how are you thinking about the idea of at any point, at any time, right now, I could get let go. I could lose everything, you know, and then hopefully the job market's good for you, because that's a whole nother video I want to get into. But hopefully the job market's nice to you, because it sure as hell is not nice to most people in this world. Let me know your thoughts on how you're dealing with it, whether you have a job, whether you got laid off, whatever. Express your thoughts, comments below. And yeah, cheers.